Hello, hello. Welcome back to the Viking Field, the old Jasper Airport here in Jasper, Alabama. Um, I hadn't done a video in a while, so I thought today I'd do one that just the fun way I like to fly flight simulator. I've made the little graphic IFRRRR. I fly roads, rivers, rails, rights of way, anything like that you can think of that starts with an R. Just on some visual tours in the virtual world. You can see on this picture the virtual me on board there. This is nothing drone related, just me flying flight simulator. Going to do a low altitude route for today. It's from here in Jasper to 5 Romeo 1 down in Chatham. It's 154 miles linear distance according to FSE. But the way I'm going to navigate today is first choice is good old-fashioned pilotage, reference to the ground, landmarks, all the things I mentioned earlier. That's the first choice. Second choice, dead reckoning if needed. Got me some map tools here and clocks and what have you, and we can do that. Third choice, I do have 2 long-range VORs dialed up in the system, but I'm not using them. But if I get turned around, I've got Vulcan VOR in northern Alabama and Sims VOR in South Alabama, both dialed in. And between anywhere along this route, if I climb up, I'm going to be cruising at 1,500 feet MSL, about 1,000 feet above ground here. I may not be able to see those VORs in the midpoint of the thing, but I can always climb up to 2,000 or 3,000 feet and find out where I'm at if I do get turned around. That's my third choice. And then the fourth choice is, there's always, you can see looking at the screen, this is a TBM 930. It's got the, pretty decent GPS system. So if I get completely bumfuzzled, then I'll go to GPS. But that's my fourth choice, and I probably won't post this video if I get that turned around. But we'll fly the rivers mostly, just sightseeing. I want to try to pick out maps and kind of make it like a tour along the way. Oh yeah, I see what I was trying to. I made some notes of things I wanted to mention in the intro. But we're just going to view this view right here. Get things back up there. Instead of bouncing around from view to view to view, which you can do, in this aircraft, you can look out the other window, blah, blah, blah. All kinds of buttons that I've got configured to look around. But it just feels like a more calm kind of setting if I just stay on this one view. So I'm going to try to maneuver the world so that I can figure out where I'm at out this view. And it just kind of makes for a more calm flight. We will use our old, I don't know if you've ever read about it in any of the stories or anything, but I've called it in steampunk stories a 2-stage redstone speed booster. Some of you may recognize that as time compression, but not extremely though, because I still want it to feel like a leisurely flight. So we're not going to be doing warp speed across Alabama. I've already done the pre-flight up to the point that it's time for engine start. So I got my checklist pulled up, and we are at that point of starting the engine. So here we go. I am recording. RPM preset does not apply on this plane because it stays at maximum 2,000 RPM all the time. Flaps and trim presets. Go to notch of flaps. Go with about 15%, maybe 17, 18% trim gets me a good clean liftoff. Make sure my FSE flight plan is filed. It is. We have 6 virtual passengers on board. And then I'm turning my lights on. At least go with some strobes and beacons so that we're seeing. I do have real traffic on. So if we see any other planes, it'll be based on real traffic. And then brakes off. Make sure things are in the right place. Now we have our strobes and beacons on. If you don't have the mouse pointer on the right screen, things don't kick on. Alright, we are good to go flying now. As I said, this is the old Jasper Airport. That's the farmer's market right in front of us. It's not that substantial a building in the real world, but the size is just about exactly right. The fence would be on our right, but it's gone from this part of the world. And then on the real airport, this runway has a fence that runs right down the middle for about half the length. So I'm very glad it's missing in the virtual world. So here we go. I'm going to take off and fly straight ahead. I'll describe that as we get airborne. Should be takeoff thrust, and here we go. Up. And we're going to fly out to going to find Highway 78, and there she is right there. Throttle back to about 60 gallons per hour. So we're nearly at cruise altitude already. I'll go ahead and set it at 55 gallons per hour. That gives us a good typical cruise for a TBM. I don't know what speed it'll get us. We're going to go out this highway until we get to the bridge over the get my map. I got maps. I got all kinds of maps. You can hear me for rattling. I got real maps. We're going out to the Mulberry Fork of Warrior River, and then we're going to follow it south and see where we can go. And of course, there's the river. It's the local water treatment plant right there, I believe. And here's the highway. This little area is called Argo. Had an aunt that lived here for many years. Looking only out the front window. You got a kind of a narrow window to keep everything visible. Alright, we are at cruise. Set everything back. Stage 1 booster. up for sure. I'm going through my post takeoff things. Flaps are up, lights are on. There's I-22 just south of Cordova Bridge right there. And then that big horseshoe bend right there. It's not called Horseshoe Bend, but I always call them that. And then the river doesn't really straighten out, but at least it stays close enough to itself that you can pay attention to where you are. We're coming up on the Gorgas area. This gets us almost to the point, we'll see it in a minute, where the Locust Fork and the Mulberry Fork merge. I'm going to turn around a little bit so you can see that. Yep, there it is. Lost Creek, Mulberry Fork, and Locust Fork now have all merged together at this point right off the nose there. Black Warrior River, more technically the Bankhead Reservoir, Bankhead Lake, because we're above the Bankhead Lock and Dam. And then from here to Tuscaloosa, there's really nothing else of any confusing other than just keep following the water south. There's 269 bridge, I think. Stage 2. No way to get lost on this stretch of river. It gets straight here in a few minutes. There is the Bankhead Lock and Dam right there. Contour of the river makes a decent right turn, and then you start seeing Tuscaloosa landmarks. And here's Tuscaloosa. Looks like nobody's flying out of Tuscaloosa Airport today. I don't see anything. I've still got the flags turned on so you can see air traffic if it's out there. I think maybe up to 10 miles. There's the Highway 82 bridge passing under the left side here. It's the downtown Lurleen Wallace Bridge in front of us. And here in Tuscaloosa, that's the Oliver Locks. in front of us right there. And then the Hunt Refining Company right there on the left. Worked there for many years. Tuscaloosa Airport's on our right. That's the toll bridge that they told us would be free as soon as it was paid for like 20 years ago, and it's still, I think they've even gone up on the tolls. Alrighty, and that was Tuscaloosa. Make sure we stay somewhere along the river. I know it makes a big turn out this way. Kind of doubles back on itself, but I don't want to go across country dead reckoning. I like following the river. I think I've told about it in the forum before. Back 20 years ago when I was in Civil Air Patrol, we had a task one time to fly from here all the way to the coast and photograph every vessel on this waterway. It was fun. I don't know if I could do it now, but back then I could stare through binoculars or a camera lens out the side of a 172, and it didn't upset my stomach at all. Some people it'd make them sick, but that's what I usually ended up doing. Coming up on the little town of Malville right now. Had to work there one day this past week, doing some drone pictures. It's on to the left now. Wetland type areas around here, catfish ponds. Try not to lose sight of the main channel of the river. That's one of those right there. Let's see, it's a mouse pointer right there. I mean, this is just a false river here. Get you turned around. So many of those like that. The airport we ought to see, we might be able to get a glimpse of Greensboro, but I know we should see Demopolis. It is right next to the river. That'll be after we pass through the town of Demopolis. Demopolis is where there's actually the northernmost Coast Guard cutter in the state is based here. This is where the Warrior River and the Tombigbee River come together, headed toward the Gulf. Also another easy place to get turned around. As long as I see a waterway headed in that general west-southwest direction, I know it's probably the right way. And there it is. That's the Demopolis runway right there. So we have a very good fix that we are where we think we are. And I want to catch, scrolling down to the sectional here. We probably won't be able to see Butler. It's maybe 5 miles off the river channel, so unless I notice something in the river and can turn and swing out that way just to make sure. I know this is the right way. Can't look away at the map too long, you lose sight of the channel. See if we can see anything out that way. Butler would be off to our right, if we can see it at all. Need to figure out the angle of view here, how far I can see. I think it would be right out here. That may be it. Yes, I believe it is. Or maybe not. Get back to the river before I lose it. Thought there'd be a little bit more to talk about along this route. It's pretty much just follow the river. fairly straight run. Really what I'm looking for now, I was thinking about looking for the Choctaw County, Womack Hill, Choctaw Wildlife Refuge area. I've done some drone work down there before, but we're pretty much past it now, I think. So the next thing I'm going to look for is another airport, the Jackson Airport. Should be just on the left of the water, and because then we'll be far enough down to start looking for the roads to find the rest of the way to the airport that's the destination. Oh, there it is. Yeah, this is Jackson, Alabama. That's the Jackson Airport in front of us right there. Now I needed to, I've got a specific turn in the river that looks like it right there, and then I need to turn due west and for a few miles, and I should see the road that will take us all the way in. It's about 14-15 miles from here to where we're going. It's the Chatham Airport, but it's actually before you get to Chatham. I'm looking for the intersection of Highway 43 and what's it called? Highway 56 is also called St. Stephen's Avenue, yeah. At Wagerville, that's where I want to catch it. And it should be kind of more over this way. Looking for a road literally going almost 90 degrees off from this one. That's Highway 43 for sure in front of us. 13/43 at this point. Further south than I meant to be. That may be the road that we want right there. Or anything to fly up it for a few miles and see. I think that's our airport in front of us there. Should have taken a time hack when I left the river. If I get turned around, I'll go back and do that because the river is everywhere to the east. There's a way to find the river again. I said I was going to stay focused on this. I just want to look left and right so bad. But I don't have to, because I guarantee that is the Chatham runway right there. Yep, for sure. And that's the destination. Around and fly, do a pattern. We're already at pattern altitude pretty much. Runway 1230 there. So. Can see that lake, little lake right off to the side. I know that's about a couple of miles off the end of the runway, so when we turn back around, we can use it for a reference point. It's a golf course on our left side right now. Slow down. First notch of flaps on this TBM is at 170. Gear at 150. First flaps. Start turning this thing around. This was our 12-second base leg. Hopefully that lake comes back into view right about, please, now, maybe, soon. Well, there's the runway. I don't need the lake. Full landing flaps is at 120, and there we go. Overshot the base leg, but can't look out the window, so how can I figure it out? Unless I'll get too low and slow over this golf course, and they'll be mad at me. TBM's pretty nice, so you can slow down to 70 knots if you get really silly with it. I try to fly approaches at 85. adjustments till we cross the threshold. Flaps are full, gears down. Taxiing into the ramp at Chatom's going to be a pain in this setting. Can't see anything. The rampy's out there in the way. It's a tiny ramp. I even think a Caravan or a TBM is kind of too big to operate out of this little ramp space. I think I've seen a King Air there before. It just seems tiny. I'll just stay way over to the left. Slow way down. I've got differential braking set up so I can do just one wheel brakes. Try my best not to bump into anybody. He wanted me to pull in that way, but it ain't happening. I want to get lined up to go straight back out. All right. Wasn't exactly a smooth shutdown, but it's done. And I'm going to cut off the recording, and I may record going back or I may not. Have a good day.